Good evening and welcome to the October 26, 2016 meeting of the Operations Committee of the Guilford Board of Education. I'll call the meeting to order at 7:34 p.m. And we have one item on the agenda this evening, and that is public comment on the budget for the upcoming 2017-2018 year. So we'll just go right to it. Anyone who'd like to speak can come right up to the podium. Please tell us your name and your street address. And whoever would like to start.
Don't be shy.
Can you jump in?
Sure.
Never wanted to be shy. Plus, my Cubs are playing right now, so this is it's been 108 years since the Cubs won a World Series, but I'm here, so this is why it's important, right? Hi, my name is John Mayo, 199 Village Pond Road in Guilford, of course, and we are here to encourage swimming to be added to Guilford High School. I would like to introduce some of the girls who are here, and also one of the young men who is here for the boys team. My daughter is Alex Mayo. She's wearing the swimming sweatshirt, always wearing a gray sweatshirt. Can't get her to change that. Chloe Casaro is also here, a sophomore on the team. And then Corey Gambardello, who just has made his college announcement to swim at Indiana University. Corey is an Olympic trial swimmer from Guilford, and we're extremely proud of what he's done, and congratulations to you today. The girls' team right now is, as you may know, a one-man band. They get to swim for Guilford with Brantford, but they don't really get to swim. They get to go to practices, they get to go to the meets, they occasionally get to swim their top events, but it's at the discretion of the Brantford coach. And the Brantford coach has been wonderful to us. He's accepted the 4 girls. They've come to all the practices. They've gone to the meets. They do get to swim. They do get to represent Guilford at state championships if they're fortunate enough to do so. They have had a taste of what it's like to be a swim team with Brantford, and they enjoy it. And we really want to see it happen with Guilford. And we also know that there is a pipeline of kids coming up. We can provide you with the numbers. We can talk a little bit about the finances of it as well, and others will speak to that. But I just wanted to introduce the swimmers that we have here tonight and tell you how important it is to them. And moving forward, we really hope this can come to fruition, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there someone else who'd like to come speak?
Sure.
Elizabeth Hicks also, who is a swimmer on the team.
So I'm Chloe. I'm a sophomore, and this is my second year on the Guilford swim team, combining with Brantford. And then this is Liz. She's a sophomore, but this is her first year because the team is so discreet. No one really knows about it because we can only have 3 people on the team at a time because there's not enough room. And then, yeah, so it's not the best terms right now with the swim team. But we have Alex, who's a freshman, and Corey, who's on the boys team, who's a senior. And so swimming is a really different sport than everything because most other sports are about, obviously it's about teamwork and stuff. But swimming is also about long-term goals, whereas other sports, you win the game, it's kind of over with that, those practices. Whereas swimming, you really have to work hard for your goals and you have to work hard for your times. And so Anna Regal, who's also on the team, her scores unfortunately do not count whatsoever because we can only have 3 people. She was added on. She swam the 500 and then she decided to swim it again, which is 20 laps, and that's a big accomplishment to swim it, and she actually beat her time, and we all know how that feels because it's a huge accomplishment. And you're super proud of yourself, and that's unlike many other sports because not only is swimming super individual and you can be proud of yourself when you win something, it's also super different from other sports because you accomplished it on your own, but then in high school, unlike other club swim teams like SYS, which is where all of us are members of actually, which is with the YMCA, you can't really be part of a team. So that's why we all wanted to do high school, but unfortunately it is so limited that only 3 of us can do it, and one of our scores don't even count. So we would really like the swim team to be included into the budget, so all of us and more people to come could be kind of get to experience it, what we experienced. Hi, I'm Alex Mayo and I'm a freshman. This is my first year swimming, and every day I go to practice and I practice with the Brantford team, and they've been great to us. I mean, we go to every single practice and meets and pasta dinners, but the one thing that's missing is that we don't really have a team of our own. Like, every time we go to a meet, we're limited to only 2 events, which could be a problem if you like to swim other events, because you can't. The other thing is, like, the 4 of us, me, Chloe, Liz, and Anna, we all try and communicate as best as we can, but it's hard to get to practice every single day. With the Brantford team, they have it in Brantford, and there is no transportation for us, so we can't really get there as easily as we would like. So it's kind of hard for us to get there. But it would be a lot easier if we had a Guilford team, which we could represent and all have our own team. So it would be great if there could be a Guilford team for us to swim on.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth, and I've only been swimming for 1 year because I didn't know that the team even existed until I saw Chloe. I was like, oh, what are you doing here? And then she told me about the high school team, but it was too late to sign up because it had already started. But I know that, like, well, sure, like, Brantford is great and all, but it'd be really nice to have our own team. And, like, we have Vivian coming up next year, and she's really fast. She's really fast. But she can't swim because Chloe and I are taking up 2 of the spots, and we won't graduate until 2019. And I don't know, it's kind of hard only to swim 2 events throughout the entire season, because you don't really get any more times. And if you're awful in those events, you can't qualify for anything else. It's also, like Alex said, it's very difficult to get to and from practice. You have to, like, set up so many different carpools, and you don't know who's driving and if you can even get to practice or, like, anything else. So I would kind of I would like it if there was a team here where there was actually transportation and we could get to and from practice and be able to do our own events instead of just doing 2. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Corey. I'm a senior for the boys team, and I'm in a little bit of a different situation. My freshman year was kind of the same. We had just a Guilford team swimming separately from a Brantford team, and I unfortunately was not able to swim because of seniority issues. There was a senior and 2 sophomores, and it was regardless of your times, your positions, you weren't able to override that. So, and I was kind of indifferent to that. You know, I knew all the other people on the team, so I kind of let that happen. It was completely fine with me. You know, let them enjoy their time, but it was kind of a holdback for me, at least, and I kind of can understand what they're going through. Just kind of seeing them go through the whole high school experience. That year there was about, I gotta say, 10 seniors that were good friends of mine that I had to be separated from, swimming on a different team, and wasn't able to get that full experience. And in the next year, one of the seniors graduated. I was able to get a spot, and in the recent year we combined with Brantford to be a regional team, so we've been able to compete with them and represent Brantford Guilford, but it's still a little different. You're not really having that Guilford pride and being able to bring on as many people as you want. I mean, there's not really a limit, but there's a limitation to the whole enthusiasm part. I mean, every day I drive myself from school to practice and practice to back there. And I was fortunate enough to have my license the whole time I was on the team, but I know some people, I mean, none of you have your license, right? None of them are able to get their own rides, so they have to take their parents' time. I'm sure their parents are more than willing to put in the effort to make them the best they can be, but there's just a little bit of disconnect there, and I'd really appreciate if something could be done to at least help, because it's really there's other teams in Connecticut who, I mean, I'm not going to compare it. I mean, there's different situations, but some teams get $300-400 tech suits for every person who makes state championships, and that ends up to be about 30 plus people. And then they get bused to practice back and forth and other gear. And I mean, it's completely different, but there's certainly a difference. And just anything that could be done would be greatly appreciated by them and anybody who is willing to work extremely hard to reach their goals. So, thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Hi, I'm Haley Moriarty. I'm an 8th grader here at Adams, and I'm in a little bit of a different situation because I'm not actually in high school yet. But as I've heard, it doesn't really look good for me. So I wrote an essay about why there should be a swim team at Guilford High School. Have you ever wanted something so badly that you're absolutely crushed when you can't get it? That's what it feels like to be a competitive swimmer without a town swim team. Guilford is a fantastic town, but it unfortunately lacks the one sport many kids would like to join. Basically, we need a swim team. Guilford's swim team wins state championships is a headline that our town will never get a chance to announce in the local newspaper, unless we get a swim team. Establishing a swim team in Guilford will put our small town on the Connecticut radar as a swimming town, which only makes sense considering Guilford's on the shoreline. Swimming is a very beneficial sport to include in our town. The majority of kids take swim lessons at an early age, but those that end up liking swimming are not really able to continue it because they can either participate elsewhere or not participate at all. That's basically the choice. Some might ask what's wrong with swimming with Brantford, but Guilford swimmers who join the Brantford swim team, even though they're greatly included, and as I can hear, it's going pretty well for them, people might ask, they feel as though they're just tagging along with the Brantford team, and they're not really feeling as though they are a part of it just because they're from a different team. And basically, I think that we should have a Guilford swim team just so that people from our town can feel like a representation of their town and not from some other team that they're just tagging along with. So basically, anything that you could do would be great. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is, whoa.
I don't think that does anything.
How's that? My name is Jim Henry. I live at 438 Little Meadow. We moved to Guilford 4 years ago from Austin, Texas, and we chose Guilford over many communities because of the people. We fit Guilford. I came here to coach at Yale. I'm the head swimming coach at Yale. And I didn't ever even think about looking at the fact the high school did not have a swim team. Never crossed my mind. When you look at an educational system like Guilford's, with the numbers that they all have swim teams. All the communities that I've lived at across the country, Dallas, Denver, and Austin, I think the percentages are around 95% sponsored swimming teams. When I got here, I called the Connecticut Association of Athletics, and I found out that 66% of the high schools in Connecticut sponsor swimming, and that Guilford was one of the 33% that did not. I also met with the athletic director at Guilford. He talked about a club situation. He explained what the Gambardellos were going through. I knew that with the 3 boys that I had coming up, we needed to see if we could do something. So I appreciate all of the hard work that we've gotten to this point. I appreciate being able to talk with you tonight. I fully realize that money is tight, but I also know that the parents and the families that are involved in this are willing to pay for play. And what I mean by that is we just want an opportunity for our kids to represent their school. The benefits of swimming are enormous. Having worked with the students that I work with, I can tell you that time management skills, work ethic, multitasking, camaraderie, teamwork, communication, spirit. Most importantly, these kids are motivated. These kids want to be a part of the community. They want to give back. Most of them have extremely high GPAs on average. Swim teams do really well. In speaking for my own teams, from example, there's 34 sports at Yale, and the swimming team is second. They are 9th in the nation. It runs within the sport. Most of them are achieving academically because they're able to figure out and transfer some of the things that they learned through swimming to their academics and vice versa. I really believe that it's an incredible family sport. I don't think that it's just a group of individuals. I think it's a group of families because you have to commit a lot of time. And I'm sorry I'm so emotional about this, but the amount of practice that those kids have to do to improve just a little bit is a lot. What we are trying to do is look for a minimal situation just so that the kids have an opportunity. So an hour and a half. I know that we've looked at the details when it comes to where. That's been worked out. I know that we've looked at a proposed budget and what it might cost and looked at the numbers, and we know that that could work out. It's going to take some trial and error, and it might take a few years to get it to the point at which it's running smoothly. But I know that there are coaches involved that want to help. I know that I would volunteer my time and expertise in any way that I could to give back to the community, because there's nothing better than a student that's wearing a suit or a cap with their town on it. It's not the same when you have a combined team with another town. There's just no way to explain that. Thank you very much.
Hi. Oh, it's this mic, so that doesn't even matter. Oh, okay. Leave it alone? Okay, sorry. I'm Jeanette Hicks. I'm a mom of one of the swimmers, Elizabeth, and I'm also a parent of a child in one of every school. I have 4 kids, one in every school here at Guilford, and she's my oldest. We moved to Guilford 1 year ago, and one of our big factors moving an 8th grader was, will she have a swim team? And we kept looking back and forth between Madison and Guilford, and we loved Guilford more. And it was tough because we really wanted the high school swim team. And we almost bought a house in Madison, but the offer fell through. So we ended up in Guilford. And the swim team was really like a crushing blow to our 8th grader who would have gone into Exeter High School in New Hampshire with a tremendous swim team, the kind Corey was talking about, that won stand championships year after year. So when I see our girls with their little green caps trying to represent Guilford just a bit, it hurts. And I know there are other people looking at our town saying, is there a swim team for my student? Because as you've seen, the statistics of a swim team indicate a high-performing school with a focus on academics. And the one thing we've noticed as a family here is many students, when they come to Adams, suddenly, if they're not really proficient at a sport, there's no place for them. My daughter, 8th grader, couldn't get on the volleyball team. But swimming, there's always a place for everyone. It's a team everybody can get on because you're competing against yourself. But on a high school team, you're getting points so that you're collectively cheering each other on. And that's the difference that I've seen for these girls, the difference between just being on a USAA swim team where you're really competing against yourself. Sure, you represent your team, but when you represent your town, that's a completely different element. And I see what they have in Brantford, and I see what they have in Madison, and I'd like to offer it to our students here.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Amasino, and I am approaching this from a couple of different standpoints. One, I'm a parent. I have a 6th grader and a 2nd grader who both swim. I am a high school teacher in Madison, phys ed teacher, and was the coach for the boys and helped start the boys, I was the head coach for the girls team for 15 years in Madison and helped to start the boys swim program at Daniel Hand High School. And I also currently coach for the Soundview Stingrays. And I also am the pool director at the Guilford Racquet Pool Club. So I'm going to talk a little bit from all those different avenues. I've been involved in high school coaching for about 18 years before I took a step back when my son was born. I've been through having a team set in place. I've been through the process of helping to establish the high school boys team in Madison, which is flourishing right now, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I've housed individual swimmers who were in the same boat as our Guilford swimmers are right now. I had a girl that used to commute from Avon every day. At the time, Madison had no pool to swim at, and we commuted to Southern. That's where the only pool space we could get. And we had 85 girls that wanted to swim, and they had 8 lanes, and they were offering it to us, and we got on a bus every day, and 85 of us went down to Southern, and I had one girl on a one-man team come down from Avon, and she trained with us as well. It's just an amazing thing to watch a team of 85 girls, and at the time, I probably had a girl that tried every sport up till freshman year of high school, and when she tried out for the team, she goes, "Coach, please don't laugh at me. I've been cut from every team. I haven't been able to find a sport. I figured swimming was my last choice. I did swim lessons as a kid. I loved it, and maybe I can find a spot here." And she did. And she was probably the best asset I had on my team because she cheered for everyone, and she was the gel that bonded us together. And every meet, she got better. And I should have brought the letter she wrote me, but when she graduated, now she didn't make states. She got her lifetime best times and go to the SCC qualifier and represent her team. But she wrote me this letter a week before graduating, and she said that swimming is what kept her going to school every day. Swimming and the friends that she made on the swim team is what made her love high school. And she wasn't the superstar on the team. It was her home. It was a place that she found. And I'll talk on the other side of the spectrum. At the same time she was on the team, I had a girl that already had Olympic trial qualifying times. Best swimmer in the state, probably one of the best swimmers that ever swam here, besides Corey. But she was a girl, so we won't compare them. And the girls I coached during the 15 years I was there with the high school team, she, and along from the best to the worst, they talk about their experience in high school. Now you would think a superstar, Olympic trial qualifier, she never lost a race. I would put her in breaststroke, and she would still beat the best breaststroker from the other team. Freshman year, state open champion, broke all the state open records. And when I would sit down and talk to her, or you would hear her get the Coca-Cola Athlete of the Year award, and she speaks in front of all these people, and they ask her, what was your most meaningful experience? She doesn't talk about her individual accomplishments. She talks about my relay at state opens and how great it was to break a state open record with 4 other girls. They'll never experience that. They'll never be able to experience that. And that breaks my heart to know that my daughter and my son and all these other athletes that are interested in swimming are never going to have an opportunity to represent Guilford on a relay, represent Guilford as a team, and it's just a sad thing that they're missing out on that they'll never be able to be a part of. moving on in regards, because I know we need money's tight and people talk about budgets and all that, and I understand all that's important. But something else you should be aware of what's happening in this community right now. And because I work with young kids, I heard some people talk about swim lessons, and kids always are learning how to swim. At the Guilford Racquet Pool Club, when I first started coaching there 4 years ago, we had 10 kids on the team. We have over 100 kids swimming on that swim team right now, from first grade to 8th grade, and then there's a couple high school kids that are there now as well. 100. That's 100 kids that if there was a team at the high school that they would be able to be a part of someday. And they're coming. And they're not going away. If anything, those 100 kids are now swimming at the Soundview Stingrays in the winter because that pool closes. And their parents are willing to make the commitment to drive those swimmers where they have to go because their kids love it. It's something that everyone can do, whether they're not a good athlete or they're the greatest swimmer in the country. And it's just a unique sport. I think I can kind of compare it to cross country sometimes, where your best athlete and your lower performing athlete just gel and they come together, and it's just a special thing. And it's undescribable in words, but it's an amazing thing to watch happen and transform in front of you. In regards to Madison, took us about 12 years to get a boys team established. A lot of same situations you heard tonight from some of these younger athletes that are on the team now. There was a freshman who came in, already had, he would have been an All-American his freshman year, had to watch because there were already 3 kids taking up spots. The following year, 5 more swimmers came on. They had to sit and watch as the 3 upperclassmen were taking those spots. Again, all state qualifiers, a couple All-Americans, had to sit there. Finally, the Board of Ed agreed that we would run it as a club. They gave us that shot. And the first year we ran it as a club, we had 25 kids come out for the team. The following year, 30. The following year, 35. And they've been holding strong about 35 to 40 kids. Now, on that program in Madison, there's only about 10 year-round swimmers. The rest of the people that swim on that boys' high school swim team are kids that couldn't find a sport. They couldn't find a home. And I know that because I'm a high school teacher and I talk to these students in my classes. And I'm like, oh, you're on the swim team, you have your jacket on, how's that going? I love it. It's the greatest thing that ever happened. I tried everything, nothing worked, this is my home, this is my place. And they only do it during the boys' season, and they represent Daniel Hand High School. And it's amazing to see because for me, I was a huge part of getting that started. And to see 35 kids strong every year representing Daniel Hand High School is an amazing thing to have happen. And some people doubted, well, yeah, we have numbers now, but are we going to have numbers a year from now? If you make the team, they're going to come. They're there. The numbers are there. We have the numbers to support it. And so, again, as a parent, as a current coach, pool director, teacher, I just know what it does for students and how powerful it is as a sport. And it breaks my heart, similar to what the mom was saying. I almost bought a house in Madison, and it was between a house in Madison and Guilford. And I said, oh, do I want to live in Madison and go to Stop and Shop every day and see my students? But they have a swim team. And my daughter was like carrying her around me. She was 6 months old at the time. And I'm like, you know what, if we pick the house in Guilford, we'll have a swim team by then. And now she's in 6th grade, and I'm thinking, like a lot of other students in Guilford have gone to Xavier and Mercy because there's not a swim program here. Or I also worked part-time for a while back at Hopkins. The number of Guilford students, high-performing student athletes are going to Hopkins, are going to Choate, are going to Xavier, and going to Mercy. We're losing those students. We're losing those academically driven kids that are also swimmers to these private schools because we don't have a swim program in place. And that's sad because Guilford is an awesome community, and it was the best choice I made to move to Guilford. We just need the swim team now. And the last thing, I don't mean to be long-winded. I said I was going to keep it short, and I just keep talking. Emily Barber is currently coaching with me. She graduated from Guilford High School. She sent me a letter that she would like to read on her behalf. She has school tonight. She got a full scholarship to Duke University, graduated from Guilford High School, swam as a one-man team as some of these young athletes are. Again, very driven, but I'm just going to read her letter on her behalf because she couldn't be here tonight. To whom it may concern, my name is Emily Barber. I graduated from Guilford High School in 2009. I was a competitive swimmer during my time at Guilford and went on to compete at a Division I level for 4 years at Duke University. Prior to my freshman year of high school, I contacted the athletic director to become a member of the Guilford's 3-member swim team that trains with Branford High School. I was told that the 3 spots had been filled and I would have to wait until the following year, as priority went to the upperclassmen. I was disappointed. I was becoming very focused on swimming and was excited to start a high school sport, but I was patient and joined during my 10th grade year. The Branford High School swim team was very welcoming and supportive, and I do cherish my time swimming with them. But unfortunately, I was not offered many opportunities to swim. I swam in exhibition heats where I was told I'd have to race the clock, often swimming alone or a different stroke than other swimmers. While I had great support from the Branford coaches, swimmers, and parents, what I lacked was a team. I missed out on relay opportunities and the feeling of contributing to the team and racing for your teammates. My season would revolve around the last few championship meets where I could finally represent Guilford. I could actually score points at these meets, but these points were not valuable as they did not go towards a team trying to accomplish a goal, such as winning a state championship. During my first season at the state championship meet, Guilford was in Class M and Branford was in Class L. The 2 meets happened to fall on the same night, and so the other Guilford swimmer and I were on deck with our coach or without our coach or without our Branford swimmers. During the biggest meet of our season, we were alone. Sorry, I just lost my spot. Additionally, we were alone for our most important meet that we had been training for all season. Additionally, Branford went on to win the Class L state championship that year, and I missed out on cheering and celebrating with the people I trained with all season. I was all SEC, all state, all area, and Class M state champion and record holder. But the points I earned over the course of 3 years did not mean what they should have. I stayed focused and motivated, but it was challenging to compete at such an individual level. Swimming is a wonderful sport. It teaches many life lessons, and I believe it truly molded me into the person I am today. By creating a program in Guilford, I believe this will give opportunities to many and create a team that I desired during my time at Guilford as a swimmer. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Emily Barber. And the last thing I'll just comment on is I did have one-man girls swim on my team. And sometimes we would go to meets and it was a 6-lane pool and it was a really competitive situation for Madison. And I had to tell that one-man team, I'm sorry, you can't swim today. Or she was a breaststroker and I said, well, we have an extra heat in the 100 free, so everyone's gonna swim freestyle, as Emily talked about in her letter, but you're gonna do the 100 breaststroke so maybe you can make state championships. And it's not a fun situation. It just really isn't. And swimming has so much to offer. So I hope that you consider moving forward with this down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask, how many other speakers do we have who'd like to address us about swimming? Okay, you're all welcome to. We'd like to hear from everybody. We thought we'd try to keep all the swimming people together, but it's fine. Thanks.
Perfect. Wrong mic, Jim. I'm coming also to advocate for swimming. Let's see where I want to start. I'm going to try not to be all over the place here. I wasn't intending on speaking. I don't have anything prepared. I guess I want to start with, I think myself and I assume most of the other members here are extremely respectful of the budget process and how tight Guilford needs to be on the dollar. We know what happened with the referendum last year. We know as taxpayers what it feels like as that bill continues to increase. My comments that I'm hoping to make in the next couple of minutes are hoping to convince you guys that adding another team, particularly a swim team, has value to our community, has value to our board. Myself, having a variety of athletic experiences from youth to high school sports, a great variety of coaching from the high school level to currently much more youth youth level, so I'm involved with several teams, as well as experience as an administrator at a high school and as a middle school athletic director in Wallingford. The stories that I've heard really reverberate with, but this was my team, this was my chance. As a high school track coach, Brantford kind of created that haven. Bring me you're tired, bring me you're sick, bring me you're hungry, bring me you're unathletic. Very similar to a lot of my experiences now as a youth basketball, youth softball coach. Quite frankly, there are kids that are in those sports, and I think the coaches, the parents themselves know this kid isn't going to make it in softball. But as a coach, my hope is always that I string them along, that I get them passionate about it, that it makes a difference in their lives. I assume everybody in this room has got that sport or that coach that helped instill their passion in them, their commitment, their drive. And it could be music, it could be sports, it could be different clubs, activities, but there's some coach, there's some adult, there's some activity that drove them in. And being a teacher and former administrator myself, I love to think that the kids go to school to learn the academics. And ultimately, as a parent and as a teacher, you want them to go to school to become the best student they can be. But if you ask a kid what they're most passionate about, what they get up for in the morning, it's that music class, it's that art class, it's that band, it's that sport. I'm convinced that adding a team like swimming, that you don't necessarily need, a la basketball, baseball, a ton of experience when you're 5 years old, 7 years old, to make the team, adds a tremendous amount of value to the community, to kids' development, and even to the athletic program. Having my variety of experiences right up through middle school, if you didn't play basketball from when you were 6, 7 years old, you weren't making the middle school team was the bottom line. I see a lot of heads in agreement. The fine motor coordination just wasn't developed for that sport. The natural competitiveness of it is the coach is going to take the kid that's at the moment looks more like a basketball player, when the reality is that 7th grader trying out could be faster, jump higher, and have a lot more potential, but he doesn't have enough spaces on his team to take that kid. So then it gets to high school. You want that kid to become involved with something, because that's their drive to get up in the morning, to go to school. And then it's from that sport, from that camaraderie with teammates, with coaches, where a ton of lessons are learned throughout life that I still today at 41 look back at a lot of my experiences on an athletic field or with Coach Sinodi or Coach Bond that helped mold me into who I am. I think you can see the emotion with me, how passionate about it. Hoping that you guys can go back to your day, to how influential different adults were in your life, different sports were in your life, and say, he's right. Another sports team is going to add value. It's going to add more to the development of our community. And in this tight budget time, for you guys to be able to advocate for, we need to do what we can to help this sport happen. And thank you guys for your time.
I'll be real quick. My name is Bob Gould. I'm a Guilford resident of 8 years. I have 4 kids, 11, 9, 7, and 5. And we have some tremendous athletes that are in here tonight, and I am so not one of them at all. I am short, I am totally unathletic, and my kids, I am fairly certain, will be cursed with the same lack of athleticism that I have. But 3 of them swim, and they love it. And they have found a sense of team in swimming. And even my little guy, who's 5, who loves Coach Jen, who made his way into swim meets at 5 years old at the Guilford Racquet Club this year, loves swimming and loves finding a sense of team and has been begging since he was 3 to be on a swim team. And my 11-year-old, who's at the Stingrays, who loves swimming more than anything. He's a drummer. He loves swimming more than drumming. And what I've been trying to figure out is why swimming's important. And I think I mean, I think what it comes down to is that it's a wonderful sport, and I'm not a swimmer, but it's a wonderful sport for kids that don't necessarily have the same raw athleticism for basketball or for soccer or for baseball or for more traditional sports. And they can get in that pool, and it gives them an ability to be part of something greater than themselves, but still challenge themselves as an individual. And when my 11-year-old comes out of the pool and he shaved 2 seconds off his best time, and he's so proud of himself that he's done that, and I'm proud of himself for doing it, it's incredible. He's challenged himself, and he's worked 4 days over the past week to get to that point. I mean, it makes me proud as a father. And you add that level of pride that I have as a parent for him and the pride that he gets for himself into this sport, and then I couple that with why I live in this town and the pride that I have in this town. And people tell me all the time that Guilford's a great town. I tell people I live in Guilford. Oh, what a great town. I know it's a great town. I live here. I love this place. I don't ever want to leave. But this town is a great town, and I want my kids to grow up, and maybe they don't swim. Maybe they don't go on a high school swim team. I don't know. But the kids that want to be on a high school swim team should have that opportunity, and they should be able to swim with pride for this town. And the money, look, it's going to be tight. Money's always tight. It's going to be tight now. It'll be tight in 10 years. It had been tight 10 years ago. But if it's important, then we'll figure out as a community a way to make it work. And the parents that want a swim team will figure out a way to make it work, because that's what you do. So I guess in closing, this is something that's important to the people up here. And there's a lot of people in this room, and there's a lot of people not in this room that it's really important to. So please give it a lot of serious consideration. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak about the swim team?
Can I just ask maybe a couple of questions of people on the swim team issue, if you'd be okay? Sure. Is there a minimum and maximum number of participants on a high school swim team? Go ahead, please.
So for most teams like Brantford, there can be as many people, but for us, we can only have 3 people.
Yeah, I mean, if we were going to do a varsity team, is there, what's the minimum that you would have to have, and what's the maximum that you could take?
Jim, do you want to go, or do you want to jump in?
I think it's 4.
Yeah, it's 4. We have to have at least 4, but as long as safety is not an issue, you can have as many. Now, when I had 85 girls in Madison, and I also had 8 divers, all right? So I had to find a space for divers to dive and swimmers to swim. So we ended up creating a JV team, and we had 2 hours, and we made it work. We rotated people in, so everyone had their fair share of pool time, because you can have as many people as want, as long as you don't have too many people overriding a lane where it becomes an unsafe situation, right? So as long as you have the space, you can take as many people.
So that's the next question, the space. Where if there's a swim team, where would the practices be? At the Soundview? Or?
Yes, the Soundview Y has already committed to us a schedule to give us an hour and a half every day after school.
And so when this is an operations committee meeting relating to budget, obviously, you know somebody's going to ask this question, right? What do you think the expense is of this?
I think compared to other sports, the cost is minimal. I know that I've already been asked from the YMCA when I was the coach in Madison. Madison trained at Wesleyan first, then we trained at Southern. The commutes became just unbearable. To the YMCA in Westbrook, and we were very happy there because the YMCA is a community-based facility, and they work with the Madison School District for a very reasonable season fee, not daily, but a flat fee for the season. And I know that the YMCA in Brantford is willing to do the same, and they're even willing to work with us to build as we grow. So
I assume it's full-time coach or coaches.
It has a breakdown.
If you have a breakdown, I think we'd
sure.
like to
So
hear
the
it.
pool costs are going to be anywhere between $8,000 and $11,000. So it's 2 12-week seasons. The girls' season is first. The boys' season
Can you
is
just?
second.
I'm sorry. Can you come up to the lectern so that our videographer was giving us very dirty looks.
So the breakdown is the biggest cost is pool time. So Soundview is going to give us 4 lanes for an hour and a half, and that's going to be somewhere between $8,000 and $11,000 for both boys and girls. That's a total. Total. That's total. So if you divide it in half, it's around 5,000. The next biggest cost is going to be transportation.
Transportation, when I talked with Guilford and the bus barn, because the distance between the high school and Soundview is 3.7 miles, they believe they can do it in 1 hour. We're looking to grow this and probably only have a one-way transfer, not have a round trip. So just to drop off from when school is out to when the practice starts, then the parents could probably pick them up there at the Soundview. That's $27 an hour. The bigger expense is when we go to away invitationals, and that's roughly going to run, because of the buses that I rent, between $350 and $450 per invitational. That's for the driver to drive them there, wait all day, and then drive back. The other expenses are coaches. An average per diem is around $2,000 to $3,000 per season. You need to pay for officials. Roughly, that's around, you need 3 officials per meet. That's around $100 per meet. And because of the situation that we're in, it might be tough to have home meets. We might only have 1 or 2. Most of the meets might be away, because the meets would probably need to be at a combination of Walsh in Brantford and Soundview because of diving. Walsh has the diving boards, Soundview does not. We would need to look at that further. Again, there's going to be some things that need to be worked out. But all in all, the cost would be total around, I don't have my numbers in front of me, but we were going to talk about this next week. I believe if there are 20 members on the team, if you divide it out, I believe per team it's going to be around $20,000 for a boys season, $20,000 for a girls season, or $40,000 total, and that's guessing high.
I just want to interject because Jim had sent me his numbers and I have them, and it was $12,000 for the boys team and $12,000 for the girls team.
So 24 total. I'm sorry about that. So if you divide it out, it's actually going to be pay for play per family, somewhere, depending on the numbers, somewhere between $500 and $800 per family per season.
Which is what we paid less.
Well, so you've mentioned that a couple of times, and I was trying to kind of watch other people and see if are all the parents agreed that this would be a pay-for-play situation, or is that your thought, or what, or a hybrid, or what's?
If you look at the model in Guilford, and you look at the sports that are not sponsored by the athletic department budget, they are pay-for-play. We feel like we just want an opportunity. I mean, we want to be and grow into a situation in which it will be. I think our numbers are going to go through the roof. I think they are going to start around 20 to 25, but I think in 2 years you're going to be at 40.
If I can ask one other question, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, Dr. Freeman, but is there any insurance consequence to this with our insurance company?
Yeah, I would want to.
We'll have to look at that.
I would want to look into the transportation suggestion. I appreciate the creativity behind it, but there are some questions. Adding a new sport would be covered by the policies that we have. I would just want to be careful about some of the transportation components. We would work with Mr. Jarvis and Mr. Vicenti and have those answers before anything came forward to you as part of a budget proposal. We have a meeting with this group of parents. We've met with this group of parents previously and have meetings scheduled with them, I believe, next week or the week after to continue talking and helping to develop the details around this.
Great.
So the proposal that I'm hearing here is for a club type situation as opposed to a
No,
team.
we would actually look to be a supported sport as soon as possible. There is an uncertainty about the co-op team with Brantford. That's to be decided every 2 years. We're at the end of our first 2 years. Seeing what's happening right now with the girls that spoke tonight, it's a very difficult situation. We believe that we could get to 20 in next year, but not be club status. We'd love to jump ahead of that to be a sponsored.
Simply, Mr. Sands, there are no other club teams out there for competition. It would
They don't exist.
Additionally, what we're looking for is for the girls and boys to be able to compete in the CIAC where they compete with other towns, state championships.
I get that, but my question, I'm confused, so help me out a bit.
Sure.
You're not asking necessarily for a budget allocation for a team. You're talking about, at least for the next year, it being, so to speak, self-funded by the participants or parents.
That is correct.
Okay.
Self-funded or dual-funded?
We would love eventually.
If you want to fund us, go ahead.
To do so well that you would want to.
The question
want
is
to
not
fund us.
whether we want to.
Right.
The question is, I mean, we're really here to discuss budgets.
Exactly.
So my concern is, what is the budget that if we go for this, how much will it cost?
Can I make a suggestion on that? If you're going to meet with Dr. Freeman and the administrative team, maybe that could be subject to a dialogue, and then that you can get back to us on that. I think we hear the message. Mr. Messeni is raising.
That is part of the agenda.
Okay.
Our next meeting will cover transportation. There's another piece to this that we haven't discussed, and that's getting into the CIAC. There's timelines that have to be met, but we're meeting next week to discuss transportation officials, the whole toss, so we'll have more information.
Mr. Jarvis has been great also. He actually came to one of the girls' meets last week at North Haven to see the 4 girls who were swimming, so we'd like to thank him on the record for that.
Thank you.
And also, I know that he's also done some homework as part of the meeting for you as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I do, the few teams that have started over the years, they start as parents pay, then it's dual funded, and if the budget allows, down the road, it becomes a fully funded. So.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, I do see another group of students in the back, and I know you guys probably have to get home and get to your homework, so.
Good evening. My name is Jillian Murray. I live at 150 Barker Hill Drive, and this is Tina Mezercola. We are here regarding cheerleading at Guilford High School. With us tonight, we have Holly, Sachi, Natalie, Laura, Ariana, and Jenny, girls that have dedicated so much of their time to supporting Guilford High School cheerleading teams, or sports teams. Tina and I are both juniors at Guilford High School and former co-captains of the GHS cheer team. I say former because, as you are aware, the GHS cheer team has been cut from the Board of Education budget for the 2016 to 2017 school year. For those of us on the cheer team, this cut was sudden, unexpected, and to say we were disappointed would truly be an understatement. We were shocked at the news, disappointed by the cut, and upset that GHS cheer, which was long withstood many generations, would no longer be a part of Guilford High School and this community. To be brief, meetings were had, questions were answered, and solutions were proposed. We were advised that participation was a factor in cutting GHS cheer. While we realized last year likely comprised one of the smallest cheer teams this school has ever seen, we have made known what we feel were the reasons for same. It was suggested that we show up here tonight with as many prospective cheerleaders as possible and make our plea to save GHS cheer by respectfully requesting that it once again be included in the proposed budget for next year. As you look around, it is obvious that we don't have strength in numbers. Right now, there are only 8 of us. However, an additional 8 students have expressed interest in joining us for the basketball season. Have you any idea how difficult it is to get someone to commit to something that is nothing? We are no longer a sport and we aren't a club. Again, who wants to commit to nothing? It's difficult to recruit when the future of GHS cheer is so uncertain. But those of us who feel that our GHS athletes, your children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, deserve the support and encouragement that GHS cheer has long provided. So despite that we are nothing, we run practices regularly at off-site locations, we bake and make posters for our senior football players, as we have always traditionally done. We make our way to each and every game, home and away, and cheer loud and proud for our athletes from the bleachers. We are out there when it's cold, we are out there when the weather is inclement, and we respectfully hit our knees when any athlete is injured on the field. We are not only proud to do it, but we are happy to do it. Cheerleaders have long been, and still are, the heart of school spirit. It is so difficult to get something back once you've let it go for good. Please let don't let GHS cheer go for good. Please save GHS cheer. Not only for those of us who have already dedicated years to it, but for those generations of little girls who look up to a high school cheerleader and think to themselves, I want to be like her someday. Lastly, we would like to take a brief moment to thank the community, parents and students for their support. We hope we can count on your support as well. Thank you.
name is Tammy Murray. I'm Jillian's mom, who just spoke. I live at 150 Barberhill Drive as well. The girls have been doing, I think, a phenomenal job, considering that the cheer team was kind of unexpectedly cut. I'm listening to all this swim team stuff go on, and all the costs that are involved with that. And, you know, I don't know what the costs were that were involved with cheer. I know that budgets were a concern. You know, I work for a municipality. I get that, you know, that's always a concern. But I have to believe it was somewhat minimal. So I'm hoping that the cheer team is probably an easier fix than maybe the swim team, although you guys are in a self-fund, so that'll be a good thing. But, you know, maybe we'd like the opportunity to do that too. We've made proposals where, you know, I have a coworker who used to coach the West Haven High School cheer team. She'd be willing to cheer this team for free. I'd be willing to cheer this team for free, you know, for no cost. We'd volunteer our time. We'd fundraise for whatever the girls would need for uniforms and stuff of that nature. So I think it would be, you know, pretty much an easy fix. I don't know what their transportation costs. I know there always hasn't been a whole lot of many of them. So I'm hoping that, you know, it might be a little bit easier of a fix. Additionally, they did get a petition signed by the community. We've gone to the games. It is disheartening to go to a football game and see all the other teams have cheerleaders. I've seen where they've been 9, I've seen where they've had 20, I've seen where they have 30, and I've seen where Guilford's had none. And it's, you know, it's kind of sad. They did go to one game where they petitioned. They had the support of over 200 signatures. We stopped doing it because we didn't realize we weren't supposed to do that, so we didn't do it again. They do have those petitions, though, and they kind of abruptly stopped that. But I do hope that you will consider, you know, reconsider bringing GHS cheer back to these girls, not only for them, but for other generations. And not only that, but some of these girls, you know, I know Jillian's a junior, and some of the other girls are too, and they've spent, you know, 2 years of their high school career already, you know, cheering. So what are they left to do now? That's, you know, that was their thing. That's what they did. They're not going to be able to join the volleyball team or the soccer team. They don't have any experience in that. And like I said, I'm hoping it's a minimal cost. If it has to be a pay-for-play thing with us too, maybe that's another possibility that we can look into. So I would just like that to be considered. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kristen Hunt. I live at 1064 Hoop Hole Road, and I'm Tina's like stepmom. I've been watching her bust her butt, just trying to keep this cheer team alive. Her and Jillian. The two of them have been really working hard to keep the team together this year and to gain more cheerleaders from behind them that want to do it, also encourage them to stay with the team, even though they're not considered a group. They're considered not even a club anymore. They're just overexcited fans. And to me, that doesn't make sense. They're cheerleaders. Every high school that I ever grew up with had a cheerleading team. I can't fathom that Guilford High School would not have a cheerleading team. It just doesn't make sense. You got a football team, but no cheerleaders. And put them not there to help cheer the guys on, I can't understand that. And they love it. They love it. They made posters. They've gotten pums. They've gotten shirts. They've had people. The parents have all been pitching in to give them rides to all their practices. They make cookies for the seniors. They do bake sales. They're willing to go above and beyond. And Tina's been doing this like 7 days a week. This is all she's focused on. Her and Jenny. And it breaks my heart to see that they can't be considered cheerleaders for the Guilford High School. They're proud of their town, they're proud of who they are, but yet they're not being accepted as an actual sport. And they are a sport. They're not overexcited fans, and they shouldn't have to. I'm sorry, and I know it comes down to budgets and stuff, but they're literally, when they were doing cheer last year and they were actually a sport at that point, and they had a whole 9 yards to coach and everything, they weren't paying to get into the games. They weren't paying. Now they have to pay like they're just another person coming in to just say, hey, we're here, we're excited. That's not right. They're there for the boys. They're there for our town. And if we're going to go to Madison to cheer for our town, we shouldn't be paying Madison to get in. And that's what they're doing. They have to pay to get in, to cheer for the guys from our town. And I don't understand that. It's not right. And not only that, but they love it. They love it. Their heart is into it. They're passionate about it. And they spend hours on the weekends doing it. They spend hours, and we actually have recently, because they have no real specific place to practice during the summertime and spring and fall, they were practicing in Long Hill. Now, because Tina's grandpa is a member of the VFW, we've been borrowing the VFW. He lets us in, and they stay there for hours with their music. They got the whole 9 yards. And that's where they've been practicing when they can't go anywhere else, or they borrow, or they go to someone's house, if need be. But this is what they love. And I can't understand. It's the first time I've ever heard of a high school with no cheerleading team included on it. And the only way they can go to these games is if they pay. They dress up in their uniforms, but it doesn't make sense to sit on the sideline. They're not out on the track where they should be. They're being told to sit in front of the fence. What's that? If you're gonna cheer your team on, you wanna be out there like a regular cheerleader with your palms and your skirt, and cheer and be happy. And there's a lot of things that they're not allowed to do, a lot of positions they're not allowed to do either. They're basic cheerleading. And it's a lot more than just basic cheerleading. They have a lot of different dance steps, different steps, moves that they learn. They teach each other, they learn. And I don't know. I feel really bad because she's really worked hard, and she's trying so hard to keep this team together this year, even though none of them really, they're starting to feel like, why? When no one wants to consider us a sport, what's the point of this? They're laughing at us. And that's not fair. They want to be something. And again, I know it comes down to finances, but honestly, nothing personal towards the swim team, but I don't see how cheer can be that expensive to keep going, especially when the parents are doing all the driving. We help make the cookies. We're not complaining about it. We welcome it. We volunteer to do that. We help make cookies for the seniors, and they do the pasta dinner they're doing tomorrow night for the seniors, or the football team in general. But they're doing it because they want to. They enjoy it, and they want to support the football players, and they enjoy that. And they're proud of their school, and they're proud of the football team. But they'd like to show it more by being considered an actual sport and actually having a team. And they do posters on certain days. They have spirit wear where they go to school on Fridays. They used to wear their outfits on Fridays, their cheerleading outfit, to get the guys excited for the big game. There's a lot of things that they're not allowed to do anymore. And it's breaking my heart. It's very sad that they have to do all this, and yet they're not really being acknowledged anymore. So I just wanted to let you guys know, I think it's Guilford High School needs a cheer team. You got Mass, you got Brantford, everybody around us has cheer teams. I realize they're small, but do you also realize that Tina taught youth cheerleading last year? She was like a joint with the coach. They did youth cheerleading, and right now they have youth cheerleaders out at the 8th grade football games, the 7th grade football games, the 5th and the 6th. They're all little girls, all the way from the age of 2nd grade all the way up to 8th. And I think 8th, but I know the majority of them are. There's got to be at least a dozen of them. They won't have a chance if it's cut out. If it's cut out like it is right now, they're not going to have a chance to get to it when they get in high school. It's not going to be offered anymore. What's the point of it then? What's the point of having it then and not now when you really need the most? It's their high school years. This is the years that they miss the most. This is what they notice. This is what they walk away when they graduate from high school. This is what they're going to remember. They're going to remember the high school years more than junior high in the past. Honestly, I've got to admit, I remember more of my high school years than I do my junior high. Nothing personal, but that's the way it is. And you remember everything you did in high school and all the exciting events you went to in high school and how you supported your teams. They're not able to do that. Not now. And they do put a lot of time and commitment into it, and they do spend money, but they want to do this. And it's really not that, I just can't see it being that expensive. You get a coach, and if someone's willing to volunteer for that, and they're already getting their uniforms, and people are trying to cut cost. Robert does the same thing. He's been up staying late at night, helping Tina with helping her making up signs and poster boards for the boys to cheer them on, giving her any help that he can give her. So it's really. It's important to them to have the cheer team back. And again, it's a small group, but give it time. You got youth cheerleaders behind them learning, and they want to be there someday, but they can't be if it's not here anymore. So I really hope you really consider them and all the hard work they're doing. And I don't see how it's going to be that expensive. Right now, the girls are bumming moms. They're driving back and forth to the away games right now. And then when they have the home games, I drop Tina and Jenny off at the home games and pick them up. And I don't care what time of the night it is. They're having a good time. And they enjoy being a part of a town and a school. Now they just want to be able to show it better. They don't want to be considered overexcited fans, because they're not overexcited fans. They're students at Guilford High School. Overexcited fans would be us, the parents or something, or out-of-town people. They're not overexcited fans. They're Guilford High School students, women, that want the chance to do this. But they want more of a chance, and they want to be recognized as a team, as a sport. They want to be recognized, and they deserve to be recognized as that. And they're not being recognized as that. A lot of kids are laughing at them, telling them they're wasting their time. I don't know why you're bothering. There's no coach. Oh, they're not going to do this, or they're not going to let us do that. But if you guys give them that chance, they are something, and you really did keep it going for a reason, and there is something more to this. And it's not a waste of time. And she's only got another year to go, but I still say, you know, keep it strong. Guilford needs they need a cheerleading team. So anyway, that's my.
Thank you.
Can somebody tell us what the impact on the budget was of the cheerleading camp?
I don't have the number in front of me. I think it was around 10,000.
Athletic reductions total were slightly over 20,000. Cheerleading reduction was a portion of that. It didn't represent all of that.
Yeah.
There was also the reduction of a football coach. There was reduction of other materials and equipment as well to make up that total number.
Yeah, I think the total was 20, and that included the cheerleading, the coach,
and materials and athletic and supplies as well.
And just so people understand, there were no reductions in the athletic budget in the first budget that Correct. Was voted down by the voters. There was no reductions in the athletic budget in the second budget that was voted down by the voters. Then when we were asked to absorb $1 million or $1.2 million cut in the third budget, that is when a reduction was made in academics. It was made in staffing. It was made everywhere across the budget in every budget category, and I think the board thought that it was reasonable to have a portion of those cuts to be absorbed by the athletic department as well as academics.
That's so correct. You on the Board of Ed approved the cuts that were made?
Yes.
These cuts in particular?
Yes. Okay. And because we thought it was important to make sure that the cuts were cross, and I think, I mean, my recollection is that as to cheerleading, if there was going to be a $20,000 cut, I think one of the parents has mentioned that among the athletic department participation, or the participation rate in this was smaller than I think almost any of the other teams. And so, you know, budget cuts hurt. We know that. And there is an impact. And so the question is, how do you make it as fair as possible and disadvantage the smallest number of children as possible?
Do you have the detailed breakdown of where the budget cuts were? Is that on the website?
I don't know that.
$10 million. Did you actually break it down so that people can see?
We certainly did. It would be in our minutes when we approved the budget.
During the budget process.
I don't recall seeing it in detail.
We're not allowed to post budget information on our website during the budget process. We have been advised that that violates election law. So once the town sets the date for the first referendum, we stripped budget information off of our website so as not to appear to be advocating and violating election law.
So, post though, now you can publish it, correct?
That's correct, but I don't believe it's been posted since the budget passed. That's correct.
Would it be in our minutes? I'll see if I can find it. That would be our July meeting or June meeting? June?
I believe it was June.
You remember?
I would say July.
Was it July?
No, so we can post it later so people can see.
That's correct.
What cuts were made, what impact it had, and how the decisions were.
Minutes.
Hi, my name is Sachi Cubetta, and I live at 60 Harbor New Road. I've been a Guilford resident for 3 years now, and I came in this high school not knowing anyone. I feel it's very hard to come in as a freshman not knowing anyone that you knew from middle school. And I came from a performing arts school. I did not know anything about sports. I went from theater to just regular old high school life. And I originally wanted to go on to the dance team, but they weren't, I feel, as accepting as cheerleading was. I came into cheerleading and I made friends. And I feel that when I came onto cheerleading, I was more open. It helped me to be more social in my high school, and that I've been more committed to this team than I've been to dance or theater or to any sport. I know these parents here that came for swimming who said that kids who went into swimming, that there was their sport. I feel like this is my sport, even though we're not technically a sport. I feel like I totally belong. They're really accepting, and I just don't know what I would do if we were just gone forever. I haven't been more socially accepted in a place than this team. I know since we heard that we were cut, it's been really stressful, and I know our captains have been working really hard. I know some parents have been working really hard to try to get people to say that we should be a sport. I've been going around the halls that people have been coming up to me and be like, hey, can't wait to see you at the game as cheerleaders, but in my mind I know that since we were cut, we're not cheerleaders, but I still feel it in my heart. I feel that I've never been more recognized individually, but I've been recognized so much when I was a part of this team. This team has helped me through my high school experience, and has helped me get through the stress and the stress level that I've been put through during these 3 years. I'm a junior now, and I just feel like something that can take away something of the high school experience, like cheerleading, I feel it's really devastating, especially for me, especially for people who are coming in that are new, especially for freshmen that are coming in and that want to be a part of something that people can be accepted and won't be judged. And this cheer team has been a cheer team that you need no experience, and I came in not knowing anything, but I've been in this team and now I know so much more, and I feel like I've grown and I've become a better person for it. Even though it's just a sport, it's more to that than it's more to that for us, and it's more to that to the parents. We work our butts off trying to show that we give school spirit, even though when people don't, we just love what we do, and if we don't have a chance to say that we're cheerleaders or show that, then I just feel like we're giving up. I don't want to. I want to show people, hey, we're cheerleaders, hey, we have school spirit, we can show you how much that this means to us. But not having us as a sport, it really brings me down in a sort of way. And I go to Middletown, I go to my dad's house in Middletown, and people ask me, oh, how's cheerleading going? I'm like, it's going really great, and they can see me, even on weekends, I'm committed. I go to Sunday practices in the morning, I leave really early from Middletown to Guilford. That's a far drive, and my parents are so committed to bringing me to games or practices, even when it's far from Middletown to Guilford, and that's like a 45-minute drive, but they can see how committed and how really passionate I am about this team and how I want it to live for as long as it can. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Natalie Penner, and I live at 2 Katy Lane. And I just wanted to say that when I moved here in 7th grade, I'm a junior right now, I was a very insecure person. I didn't know where I belonged in Guilford. And it was just a different community from where I had lived before. And I wasn't used to people being so accepting, but still I didn't know how to integrate myself into this community. And it wasn't until freshman year that I really found my place when I found cheerleading. And Tina and Jillian, I met them first. They were really open to all of us being on a team together. We had seniors at the time that really worked to make us a team. So freshman year was probably our easiest year. But since then, not being a team now is really devastating, and cheerleading has never really been that great at our school for the years that I've been there. But now, I think after the football players realized that we were cut, when we weren't going to the games, they didn't know why. And when they finally found out that we had been cut, I know Jillian had gotten tweets, text messages from football players saying that they really missed us and they hadn't realized what had happened. And dance team is there and they support them. They bring some school spirit, but they don't sit there at the games because that's the job of the cheerleaders. We're always there. We support them. We bake for them. I know I have a job. I do babysitting, and everything that we buy, the posters, paint for the posters, the baking stuff that we get for the boys, I pay for that myself, and I pay for it for my sister, and it's because I'm dedicated to it. It's the sport that I belong in, like Sachi said. It's a place that I feel accepted. And to not have that at the school, it's very aggravating and discouraging, especially since I've heard so many stories from the youth moms, the football moms, telling me how great their high school years were with cheerleaders, and many of them were on the cheer teams. And they're also very discouraged to see that we don't have that sort of school spirit. A school day for us is we go into our school. It's a nice new school, but it doesn't show that much school spirit. And since we've been putting the posters on the walls, everyone has noticed them, and everyone's so happy to see that we have some school spirit. Just on this small section of walls where our posters are, everyone loves to see them. And I think just that has impacted our school a lot, and we just really need to bring more school spirit. Because right now, our students that go to the games, they don't even go to watch the football players. Our school is not that great of a football team, but I feel like with more, we're not that great, but I feel like we can do a lot better, and since freshman year, I think we've been doing a lot better. And I think a lot of it is that the boys need more support. No matter what sport you're in, whether you're a swimmer, whether you're a basketball player, if you hear someone cheering you on, you're going to do better. And cheerleaders bring a lot of that. We've been leading all the spirit at the games. We have cheers that the parents know that everyone cheers along to. And I think it's just a very positive impact on our school, and not having that is really detrimental. So I just really hope that we can bring that back, because without it, schools can't be the same. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Ariana Penner. I'm Natalie's sister. I was in 7th grade when Natalie joined the cheer team freshman year. And when I came, obviously, there were girls who are now in college that were on the team, and it was like a bigger team. I can't name how many people were on there because I'm not sure, but it was more than the amount that we have now. And I remember I was so excited because obviously I was in 7th grade, so I didn't have the ability to join the high school team. So I looked up to them, and I knew when I was in high school that I wanted to do what they're doing. And as they graduated to college, the team began to shrink, and then I had a bunch of people in my grade, at least 5, who I know that wanted to join cheer, but before I came to the high school, it had been cut over the summer, and it was a real blow to all of us because I know I had a lot of other people who wanted to join, but they didn't want to join a team that wasn't actually a team, just like a group of girls. And but even though we're not a team, we still go to the games, as obviously other people have said, and whether it's raining or not, we're in the stands, the bleachers, and we're cheering for the boys, hoping they'll hear us because obviously we're further away than the track. And it's just harder to cope with because yeah, we make posters and we bake cookies and we do all these things for the boys, but it's like we're not an actual team. It's kind of like we want to be a team really badly. It's hard when a bunch of people are just a group who call themselves cheerleaders, but I know there's a lot of other people who always talk to us and say, well, you're not an actual cheer team, because I mean we're not, but it's just really hard because looking at other towns, they have giant cheer teams and a bunch of cheerleaders cheering for the boys, and they can do jumps and stunts, but we can't do that since our team was cut. We can't lift 2 feet off the ground, and it's really hard. We're just doing movements, and yeah, they're cool cheers, but we can't reach our full potential to being a cheer team. And I feel like us girls, we dedicate a lot of our time and effort into the team, and we really just, for the people who haven't experienced it, like, we want to have a cheer team. We want to be known as cheerleaders and people who can actually cheer for the boys and stand on the track, because I know that's what I've wanted to do for a really long time. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Jenny Mesocola, Tina's younger sister, and so I moved here during 4th grade, and I had an older sister, Sabrina Mesocola, who also did cheerleading, and I was really excited to do it, and so I did youth cheerleading, and then in 8th grade I couldn't wait to do high school cheerleading, so I talked to the high school coach, and she started up Adams cheerleading for me and everything, because I was so excited, because I used to go to their practices and see their team bonding and how they work together and everything, and I was so excited. I just wanted that so bad. And then over the summer when I found out it was cut, I was really disappointed because I wanted what I saw with the high school cheer team. Like, I wanted that, and like, it was really disappointing to know that I wouldn't be able to get that my first year of high school. And I'm a freshman, sorry, I forgot to mention that. But like, it was just like really disappointing, and like, I know how much my sister, both my sisters worked so hard, and then how hard Tina has worked so hard to get this done and everything, and to see all that work done and then just to get it cut was really disappointing. And I just really, really want to have cheerleading as a sport again.
Hi, my name is Holly. I'm a sophomore at Guilford High School. So this was my first year really trying to do cheer. Last year I was on the diving team, and it just wasn't really working with the Brantford commute, so I decided to come back to cheer. I did gymnastics for 12 years, and a lot of that was competitive. And I hurt myself, so I couldn't really do it anymore without doing permanent damage to my body. So I decided that cheer was really the best way to go, because there was still that, spatial awareness aspect and getting to flip and tumble that I just was really connected to, and that, makes me feel like I'm flying, and I loved it so much. And I was really excited for this year to be able to tumble again, pain-free, and then cheerleading got cut. And, I had been working all summer to try to get my strength back so I could do it again. And now we're not allowed to take 2 feet off of the ground. And it's just kind of heartbreaking for me. I liked seeing the other girls tumble. I watched the other town's teams. Madison has an incredible tumbler. I think he may have graduated, but he was one of my favorite people. Just watching him tumble on the field was incredible. And the fact that now that we're not a sport or a club, and we don't have a coach anymore, we can't lift 2 feet off the ground, And I think that's really part of what cheerleading is about, is being able to be up in the air and stunt. Because without that, it's not very different than, dancing. Like, the movements are a little bit different, but other than that, we don't really have what makes us cheerleaders, which is the stunting and the pyramids and the tumbling and the cartwheels. And I just think that without those aspects, it's really hard for us to call ourselves cheerleaders because we really can't be anymore.
Hi, I'm Tiri Mesicola. I live at 1060 Bohupo Road. I am a junior in high school. I'm the post captain of the cheer team, and I am the co-acting captain, one of the co-acting captains of the group. And I know a lot of us have been talking about how we support the boys and we support the team, but in this spring is like normally our competition, it's our competing time, and that's where we can take the floor and we take the mat and we show people that we're a sport and this is what we work for all of football and basketball season. It's what we're building up to. All the muscle strength we need to do these stunts, to do highs, to do high libs. It's everything we work for in football and basketball season. And my older sister Sabrina, she graduated last year, and they actually got the opportunity to go to a competition, and I remember sitting there and watching them, and I was like, I want to do that. Because a lot of people, I started cheer in 8th grade, and a lot of people were like, why do you waste your time with it? It's not even a true sport. You don't do anything. And I used to tell them, meet me at the mat. I'm a base. Find someone else who's strong, find a back spot for me, find another base, find a small flyer, and I will show you what I'm made of. Sure, a lot of people don't consider cheer a sport, but we are athletes. We should be considered a sport. We put in the time and the dedication to do all these things. We need the strength, and for one thing that makes a sport to me is the competing side of it. We can be a competing team. We just need the opportunity and the chance to get it. Last year, we had offers to go to the Gator Bowl and perform halftime at those, and those are like college events. Like, we are given opportunities. It's just like last year our coach didn't want to take it because she felt that we didn't have the numbers and the strength. But I truly believe that if we become a sport again next year, we can get those numbers. We can do it. We just need the opportunity to do it. Another thing too is UCA, it's the United Cheer Association. They have tryouts for their teams, and normally you go to their camp as a school team. And within their camp, they have days where you can try out to be on their UCA team. And from there, they take you to London, and you can perform in their New Year's parade. And it's this huge event. There's so many opportunities out there for cheerleaders. Like for me personally, the college I want to go to, they are a Division II competing cheer team. And I have been captain since my high school basketball season of freshman year. I've been captain that long, and it's really disappointing to me because I can go, I can try to be on this Division II competing team, but I will never have the opportunity to step on the mat as a high schooler, to know what it's like to be a high school competing cheerleader. And that was all I pretty much wanted to say.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Sorry. I just wanted to follow up on a question that Mr. Bloss asked about the pay for play. I want to clarify. So we're here at the budget meeting because we are seeking budgetary support for the swim team. However, we also understand that we are going to have to pay our fair share. I believe that if there is a commitment, even on a smaller amount, from the school district and from the town and from the community, that the reality of the team and the growth of the team will be exponentially sped up than if it is a total pay for play. So I'm here to say that we're here tonight to be considered, and I want to thank you for that. And any amount that could be offered would help with the commitment level from the community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do you want to?
I'm sorry. I'm not cheerleading, and I'm not swim team, but I have to say, listening to them, and I've come to a bunch of different meetings. I'm Lori Laterza, Riverview Drive. I've come here for special ed a number of times, and budget cuts affected everybody, and affected things that we even invested in. And kids are being hurt. I have to say, in high school, I could not, I commend you all, I could not get up in front of the Board of Ed and have a conversation like that. So what I came to say, I'm not going to say. I think what everybody's asking of the board and the town is to get creative. We have a passionate town, we have passionate parents, we have passionate kids. We used to do things one way because they worked. Our new reality is budget cuts happen everywhere. They happen in our house, they happen in our companies, they happen in municipalities. And maybe as a community, we need to come together and think about doing them differently, whether it's pay for play or in special ed going to Yale and study programs that are willing to give us services. I guess what I'm asking you for now is the ability to work as a community, bring in parents, bring in kids, bring in teachers, bring in therapists. They're very creative, but let's think out of the box because budget cuts aren't going to go away. The referendums are going to get shut down again. You're going to get people who don't come to these meetings and don't listen to them and don't understand where the money is being spent. So rather than tell you all the reasons I think you should put money into special ed, I'm asking you to think about being creative so that all these things can actually be supported and work with the community to do that.
Who else would like to speak? Good.
Hi, my name is Julie Swanson, and I live at 1 Northview Drive. I'm the PTO president, I'm Melissa Jones, and this is Jill Herring. She's the vice president of our PTO, and we just started this year. And we are here to request a line item for all of our elementary schools to have a fund for the playgrounds. We don't understand why the middle school and the high school fields are paid for by the town and district budget, but yet our PTOs and our families and our businesses have to raise funds, and in our case, we are trying to build our playground ourselves. The fundraising for the last 3 years has been and still is daunting. We are the third playground to be built out of all the 4 elementary schools, and you can only ask for families and the businesses to pay for so many fundraising things that we're trying to do, and doing all these little fundraisers don't really give us the big chunk of money that we need. Melissa Jones has a current playground that was originally built by our community, and it's loved by the whole town of Guilford, and there are a lot of great memories with the people that built it originally. But we're trying to raise over $150,000, and we've been working on it for 3 years already. And our current playground is getting to the end of its life from a safety perspective. And we just believe that all of our children deserve a great place to play. All of our playgrounds should be equal for all of the schools. And we're just asking that you think about, somehow to help us so that it's not so daunting. The committee that's been working has been working and working and working, and it just feels like we're not getting anywhere. So we're just, asking for some help. And go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jill Herring. As Julie introduced, I live at 15 Andy Lane. I'm the vice president this year for Melissa Jones PTO. I'm also a nurse practitioner that works at Connecticut Children's Medical Center. And I have to say, I have a first grader, so elementary school was new to me last year, and I also have a preschooler who will be attending Melissa Jones next year. So we look forward to a long life here in Guilford. We moved in about 2.5 years ago, and I have said the same thing that other parents have. I don't plan on leaving. I hope my kids don't leave. I have never met such a great community. So when I joined the PTO last year, when Claire was in kindergarten, I was very surprised to be introduced to our incredibly enthusiastic playground committee, who is chaired by Sarah Pryor, that many people in our community know because she is the essence of Guilford and definitely the essence of Melissa Jones Playground. And she built it as a student when she was a student at Melissa Jones. And we had a huge community build that obviously I was not part of because I wasn't part of Guilford at that time. But I was incredibly impressed to have a parent who was so dedicated to recreating that for our students. Our playground is, and I'm not advocating at all actually just for our playground, because as a parent I was very surprised to not have some type of budgetary item for support of the playgrounds for all of our elementary schools. I know that there's probably some maintenance support that is involved already, but we all have recently, Cox just built their playground and did an excellent job raising funds for that. I know Lee has done a good job building funds for theirs, and they continue to do it in a stepwise fashion. I apologize, but I'm not sure where Lakes is and where their playground is, but I know they're going to be looking to replacing theirs because unfortunately all of our playgrounds have either expired or are expiring, which means that now as Melissa Jones is the third, that our community is tapped out. They're tired of hearing about playgrounds, but yet the reason I mentioned that I'm a nurse practitioner who treats children is that we know how incredible there are so many studies and statistics on the benefit of outdoor and playground play, as well as, I don't need to quote ER physicians and many studies on having safe playgrounds for our children. And then I can also, if you'd like me to gather studies, I can gather studies on the benefit of creative playgrounds and not just a plain swing set, but or just metal and plastic, but offering an opportunity to continue a playground like the one that we have in Melissa Jones. My house is directly next door to the school, and that was when they said, wow, you have access to this park, you have access to this playground. I went over to look at it, and I was incredibly impressed with the build that they did just between 20 and 30 years ago, and to be part of a community that was so dedicated to such a build was just empowering and definitely helped me purchase my home. So I would like the Board of Education, and I'm one of those parents. I was shocked at the turning down at the referendums and that it took the third to pass, and then to hear meetings that our budget may not pass, and then what that meant to our community, especially with the body of parents and grandparents and multi-generation families that we have here in Guilford, to have people not supporting our youth and our upcoming, for a variety of reasons. Like people mentioned, our homes are cutting budgets. I work for a hospital. You know the climate in healthcare, cutting budgets there, and I understand that money just doesn't come from anywhere, but I do ask that the playgrounds be considered at least as part of the ongoing support for the schools, and that's because from a safety perspective, from an educational and growth perspective, it's really important to our students. Our playgrounds are used throughout the whole community, so they're accessible. I actually found a family from Madison on our playground, and I said, please consider donating to our playground because you enjoy it so much. Because in another year, it may not be here, and what we put up could be very different based on the funds that we're able to raise. We're still trying to be creative as parents, but taking over as the vice president, it became a very daunting realization about where we are and where we need to be, and then where we're going to need to be again in the future, because these things need to continue to be replaced at least every 20 years. So thank you for considering.
What is the approximate cost of what you're doing at Jones?
So the difference about Jones is that we were trying to keep it to be originally like a community build, so that the cost would be less. So with the community build, that we're still working on some aspects, which included the insurance for such a build, because 27 years ago, that was a different insurance climate. So we're working on that piece, and if that piece gets approved, we need a total of about $150,000.
And where are you at currently?
Slightly less than 50, and that's over 3 years. We had hoped to build it this summer, and unfortunately, we had to defer. Our playground for this year is still safe. We were able to, fix things that would have been unsafe for our students. I know that our board and our town would not allow a structure that was unsafe. I'm ultimately confident in that. But I do know that may not be another year, or the year after that. So we have to do something soon about that. And $50,000 is not going to replace what we have, and it's not going to provide a safe or academically stimulating environment for our students or our community.
How much will it cost if it's not a community bill?
That I actually don't know, because Sarah Pryor has those numbers. It's going to go over $200,000.
Well, the last meeting she said it could be anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000, depending on if we can find contractors that will donate time additional to the $150,000.
And we are still accessing a lot of different businesses, because we know that our families are tapped out, and everybody can understand that. So people have donated benches to us. We have lots of different, and we're trying to go outside of just Guilford businesses. You know, we want to support our Guilford businesses. We love being a small community who has lots of small town businesses that aren't necessarily parts of franchises. And people have been as generous as they possibly can be while they're still trying to stay an entity within the town of Guilford. But Big Y-Gate donated us some benches. We have other businesses that we're trying to see, like the hardware stores and that kind of things, whatever goods they can donate for us. And that's not going to stop. You know, no one's here to say you need to fund this $200,000 project, because that's unrealistic, particularly after last year's referendums. But we would like to, at least in this moment, get some money for the schools to have that is allocated towards maintenance and building of playgrounds. Because if we have an allocated item each year, then the PTOs can support it. Like the PTO, I think it's very underestimated in the community what our PTOs actually do. We fund enrichment programs, we fund our assemblies, we fund our busing for our field trips, we also fund a lot of our field trips, and I'm incredibly proud to be part of one of the excellent PTOs within this community. We have many, and I think that's another reason why we bring in good students, good parents, good athletes, good just a whole good family community. But the reality is that the amount of things that we fund as a PTO is astonishing and very unrecognized, so I would actually like to change that within our community and get it a little bit more out there as a collaborative for PTOs, that our families and our community understand more of what we do fund for schools. And I think if we had a little bit of Board of Education support for things like our playground, it actually might make an impact on people's motivation and things like that to keep those things going, so we can actually bring in more and we actually take away some of the need that you guys do to provide support for academics and other things by fundraising for our community. Gladly. Any questions? Well, thank you for your consideration. And I do want to, the students are no longer here, but I'm incredibly impressed. I hope my students can stand up here someday and speak as well as, oh, cheerleaders are there. You guys did an excellent job. You're very well spoken. Very proud of you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Anyone on, oh, yes.
Steve Arpey, 95 Stubble Drive, Guilford. A good job with the speaking ladies and the swimmers. I too enjoyed that, very passionate. My questions are more related to academics and specifically math education in Guilford. I'm not quite sure where we are. I think we have a math coach still in the middle school.
Yeah, we actually met with
okay. I think at one time, I think Paul mentioned that we were talking about math coaches in the elementary grades.
Correct. It was in last year's budget before it failed at the first referendum.
Okay. I understand it failed. And there was some encouraging signs with the SBAC results compared to the previous year, correct?
Well, we think so, and I think everybody agrees.
We attribute maybe the math coach and possibly the fact that we added more educational instruction time to that?
At Baldwin.
Okay. And do we think that a math coach in the elementary grades would also assist that process?
It would not surprise any of us to see Dr. Freeman propose math coaches at the elementary school.
Okay. Do any teachers not support that concept of having math coaches?
We met with the principals on, was it Monday?
Last night.
No, last night, 2 nights ago.
Is it possible to get?
I'm trying to answer your question. The principals made it clear that they believe that math coaches at the elementary schools would be a very positive thing.
Okay. And that would represent most likely what the teachers would believe?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Is that a hard sell to the town? I realize it got cut, but or do we emphasize what that really means in terms of academics?
You know, the math, I think the coaches, I think are a very interesting characteristic of the way we've tried to do embedded professional development in the district. We've had literacy coaches. I think we recognized that we had some work to do on literacy years ago. I think when Dr. Forsell was here, right? Isn't that when this is when we started literacy coaches? And the results that we've got on, you know, and then standardized testing is not the end, obviously. It's just one piece of evidence about how your district is doing. On the other hand, on literacy, on English language arts, we are first on the statewide testing within our comparable districts. We're ahead of districts that are substantially demographically more wealthy than ours, and I think it's a very easy sell to us to say that one of the reasons, not the only one, but one of the reasons that we've got that level of achievement in literacy is because of the literacy coaches. I don't think there's any question that it's very effective professional development. I think we would like to have that level of embedded professional development in the math area at the elementary school.
Do you think the town would support a goal of making Guilford, Connecticut the #1 math school district?
I think we'd like to believe that.
Okay, and math coaches could be part of that process.
I think you're
I mean, I don't think we need to talk about our own, you know, the demographics we're in. I don't think the genetics are any better in Darien or Greenwich. I think we have as smart as the abilities of the students in this town are as good as anywhere. And really, it comes down to faculty for that.
Well, and some other things, some supports and
right. Well, resources math is fairly
and so forth. But
pencil paper.
I am quite confident that Dr. Freeman is going to be proposing math coaches at the elementary. Well, I guess I shouldn't be that confident, but if I
can be confident.
Okay, fine.
I mean, my preference for the elementary grade would be math teachers.
Yeah, that's probably. I would be surprised if that happened, but
I know we have art teachers, we have Spanish teachers. We have gym teachers, and we have general study professionals that teach math. Okay. The reason why I'm presenting this is if you want to be #1, you really need the #1 teachers for that, which would be math teachers, especially when you're talking about high-achieving students in mathematics, as opposed to having students who potentially know more than their general studies teachers. So what I'm trying to do is lay out, if Guilford wants to be the #1 school district in math education, all grades, male, female, you need that level of coaching and that level of teacher to do so. And to wait until 5th grade to get a real math teacher will not, in my opinion, will not accomplish that goal. So as far, you know, the one lady said you need to be creative about trying to get things passed on a budget that are expensive. Let's face it. 4 math coaches. I don't want to say 1. I want 1 for each elementary school. And then maybe the 2nd or 3rd year, actually add a math teacher to the 4th grade program and see what that produces. Potentially, as the success increases, add 1 to the 3rd grade and see what happens. So I'm not looking for short-term fixes. I'm looking for long-term. And allow the public to understand we're going for the #1 position. We're not happy with just being in the middle of our demographics, or even at the front of our demographics. We want to be #1 in Connecticut in math education. Support the teachers to have that, and support them from the elementary grades up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, I thought somebody was going up there. I did get the minutes of July 11 is when we voted on the budget cuts. The total was $750,000. I think the total between the second and the third referendum between the town and the board of was $1 million.
Correct.
And so the way that we voted on that was, it was predominantly teacher salaries, frankly, or other salaries, between retirements, a townwide tech position, a receptionist at the central office, an administrative assistant, a custodian, a music teacher position, a half a music teacher position, a half a teacher position at the high school, and then another 6/10 teaching position at the high school. Of the $750,000 in cuts, $557,000 were in salaries of teaching and other staff. There was also the field lights were taken out of our budget, and then there was a $20,000 reduction in the athletic department budget that included 7th and 8th grade cheerleading, 9-12 cheerleading, a 9-12 assistant football coach, a dance coordinator for 9-12, and various athletic equipment. So I think that is the breakdown, and that was going over at the July 11, 2016 Board of Ed meeting. Yeah.
Just so I understand, the 557 cut in salaries that sounds like a huge reduction in teachers, but that's predominantly due to retirement, if I'm not, that's correct, right?
It's approximately 250,000 of that figure was due to retirement savings.
And then, so the teaching positions, I think, it's about a little less than a 2-point FTE teaching position. Now, there were also, by the way, some positions that we didn't fill, that we didn't forward to the Board of Finance, as I recollect it from your budget. We cut your budget.
Yeah, I was going to remind the board that the budget that the board adopted was a significant reduction from the budget that the administrative team put forward to the board. It represented one of the lowest starting points that we have seen since the financial collapse of 2008.
I know you all want to get out of here, but I do want to ask, I'm Tara Brinkman, I live at 574 Long Hill Road. I do want to ask about the possibility of the later high school start time, if that is being considered for the budget. I look at Guilford right now, and I think Guilford is absolutely fabulous. I think our schools are fabulous. I've got a first grade son. He's actually in Christine's daughter's class. And I look at the way our students are right now, the way Guilford is, and they're fabulous. And after hearing the cheerleaders speak and after hearing the parents speak in support of the swim team, you know, I think that sports makes students, that's a big part of high school. And, you know, I know that colleges look at sports, and hearing that cheerleading got cut, I was a high school cheerleader. That was like upsetting to hear. You know, I think that cutting sports from the budget could be detrimental to our students, and I think that those absolutely need to be factored into the budget. And if you're considering the later high school start time, I think we need to look at how well we are already doing, and maybe factor in those sports as well. So I don't know if you can answer that, if that is being something that's considered, but I don't know.
The answer is yes.
It is, okay.
Anyone else? All right, to recap, I guess, in sort of descending order by quantity, we discussed tonight swimming, adding a swimming team, restoring cheerleading, funding playgrounds across the board for the elementary schools, math coaching and other math instruction, particularly at the elementary level, and consideration of start times. And I think we can assure you that all these topics will be... And yes, a very sensible comment about being creative. And we can assure you that we will...
And special ed.
And special ed, that's right. And we will consider all these topics in the conversations that are starting now and will continue over the next months. I'd also like to say, for the benefit of everyone watching on television, tonight was the first opportunity to formally come to address our board. There will be more opportunities that will be on our website posted to come speak to our board at a couple of hearings during January, any of our monthly business meetings, Our phone numbers, well, not only our phone numbers are, but our email addresses are all on the Guilford.
Yes, they are.
On the Guilford Schools website, and we appreciate as much input as you can give us. We want to come forward with a budget that it represents what the community values, and no surprises like we had last year. So hope to hear from all of you.
Do we have the dates of the other budget-related meetings?
We will be working on our budgets in-house, in office. We will begin meetings with principals and department heads. We will work with our leadership team through the early days in December. We have a joint committee meeting with members of the Board of Finance on December 19th. The administration presents our first draft budget to this Board of Education on January 4th. There's an additional meeting on January 9th where the board will be deliberating that, or discussing that budget further. On January 17th, there is a joint meeting with the full Board of Finance. On January 23rd and 24th are more public hearings when there is a draft budget presented, so that everybody will then have the opportunity to comment on what is proposed in the budget. And the Board of Education ultimately takes action to approve your finalized budget on January 30th. So I would strongly encourage community members to pay attention to the process and to join us again in this space on January 23rd or 24th, where we will highlight what is in that draft budget. And again, the board will ask for your comments and feedback on what has been included, what may not yet be included, while the board still has time to make adjustments to that budget.
Thank you. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight.